Sometimes you just have to shut your brain off for a while when wanting to watch a cheesy horror movie. You can't take them too seriously, as they are more there for a comedic standpoint than they are to scare you while watching. That's what this list is going to be. It's going to be 10 fun campy horror movies watch and not take too seriously while doing so, as they are just a fun time. There will be no spoilers throughout this video, so if you haven't seen, you can do so and not have it ruined. I will list the timestamps for the different movies in the description below, and also if any of the movies are offered on any streaming services, I will list those as well. With that being said, let's do it. Number 10. Tucker Dale vs. Evil. 2010. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is a satirical spoof of the cabin in the woods horror genre, but they do make it very entertaining and gripping to watch the whole way, even though it is a horror comedy. Two lovable hillbillies, Tucker and Dale, are headed to their fixer-upper vacation cabin in the woods to drink some beer, do some fishing, and have some good best bud bonding time. But when they run into a group of preppy college kids who assume from their looks that they must be inbred, machete-wielding killers, Tucker and Dale's vacation takes a bloody and hilarious turn for the worse. The preppy college kids believe that Tucker and Dale kidnapped one of their own, when in all reality, that's not the case at all, and Tucker and Dale are two gentlemen who wouldn't hurt a fly. Or is that all a front that the movie narrative is going with? It is nice to see a horror movie from the bad guy's perspective in one of these slasher movies. Number 9. Cabin in the Woods. 2011. In this classic, 5 college friends head off for a weekend at a secluded cabin in the woods. Like most slashers end up starting off, they arrive to find they are quite isolated with no means of communicating with the outside world, and in usual horror movie fashion they don't have any service on their phones. When the cellar door flings itself open similar to the Evil Dead, they of course go down to investigate. They find an odd assortment of relics and spell books in the basement, but when one of the women, Dana, reads from a book, she awakens a family of deadly zombie killers. However, there's far more going on than meets the eye. Throughout the film, we learn of a private corporation that is pulling all of the strings behind the monsters at the cabin, and they think they are doing it for the betterment of the world. But what is their true motive, and will any of the college friends make it home alive? Number 8. The Final Girls. 2015. The Final Girls follows Max, who had lost her mom a few years ago, and is still healing from the loss, as her and her mother were very close. Max's mother was a famous actress known for a slasher movie she starred in when she was alive, and everyone knows Max because of this. When a local movie theater is putting on a marathon for the iconic slasher franchise, Max is invited to come, as well as it would bring more publicity. Max is hesitant at first, but eventually agrees, and when she gets to the theater, she is teary-eyed to see her mom on the screen. Out of nowhere, a fire breaks out in the theater, causing everyone to erupt in madness, and Max and a few others go behind the projector screen and somehow end up in the exact slasher movie they were watching. Max is more than shocked to see her mother alive right in front of her, but sadly it is just her character, and she doesn't know who Max is. The rest of the movie follows Max and her friends, who have to find a way to escape the movie universe that they are in, but have to do it without dying, as they don't know what would happen to them if they die. Number 7. Piranha 3D. 2012. Only a year after the endless carnage at Lake Victoria, Arizona, in Piranha 3D, the marine biology student Maddie is shocked to discover that her greedy stepfather, Chet, has turned her late mother's amusement park into the summer's best adult-themed tourist attraction, the Big Wet Water Park. In other words, once more, vicious multitudes of voracious, bloodthirsty prehistoric piranhas find their way into an all-you-can-eat buffet, the raunchy theme park, to feed off the succulent flesh of its unsuspecting visitors. Now, it's up to Maddie, and the piranha expert, Mr. Goodman, to stop the hordes of agile predators before they stain the waters red for good. However, is there an escape from the razor-sharp teeth of the piranha? I mean, the obvious move would be to get out of the water. But that's not movie logic now, is it? And these piranhas are going to be feasting on everyone and everything they can. Number 6. Tusk. 2014. Wallace and Teddy are the wisecracking co-hosts of The Nazi Party, a popular podcast focused on bizarre viral videos and humorous interviews with the internet-famous crowd. The concept is simple. Wallace travels the country conducting outlandish videos, and returns to their makeshift studio to share his stories with Teddy and the listeners. When Wallace ventures to Canada for an interview that falls through at the last minute, he stops at a local bar for a drink and finds a flyer posted by an old adventurer who seeks to share his stories with anyone who will listen. Arriving at the old man's secluded estate under the shroud of darkness, Wallace is promptly treated to a hot cup of tea, and a strange tale of being rescued by a walrus following a shipwreck at sea. It all seems like the perfect fodder for an unforgettable podcast that is until Wallace blacks out and regains consciousness bound to a wheelchair. Meanwhile, as Teddy and Wallace's girlfriend venture north to investigate his sudden disappearance, the old man subjects his terrified guest to a bizarre medical procedure that will transform more than just his perception of one of the sea's most majestic creatures. Number 5. You Might Be the Killer. 2014. This one follows a crew of counselors that have just arrived at an empty kids' summer camp as they are getting prepared for the wave of kids that will be joining them the week after. One night, when they are all bored, they decide to tell ghost stories around the fire, and Sam tells them about a wooden mask killer that supposedly haunts the exact same camp that they are at, and they all think it would be fun to go and find the wooden mask out in the woods, as none of them are taking the legend real. When they do end up finding the infamous mask, they soon start to get picked off one by one, everyone except Sam, who told the story, and he was the one that found the mask. Covered in blood and in possession of the wooden mask while not being injured one bit, it very clearly looks like Sam has been on a killing spree. But he is suffering from memory loss and doesn't remember a thing. Sam phones his friend Chuck to come and help him solve the case, and clear his name that he is not a murderer. Number 4. The Babysitter. 2017. In this Samara-weaving thriller, Cole, an introverted 12-year-old boy who is always bullied by his next-door neighbor, is secretly having a crush on his gorgeous babysitter, B. With this in mind, even though Cole doesn't admit it, he still needs his babysitter, as B is, above all, every boy's dreamgirl fantasy babysitter situation. However, when Cole's parents leave for the weekend, unforeseen revelations regarding B's obscure past will force the young teenager to take matters into his own hands, and for the first time in his life, overcome his fears to become the neighborhood's hero. Of course, all that's needed is just a splash of blood. B has a lot more buried deep down inside of her than Cole ever would have imagined, and now Cole will not only have to deal with her, but also her blood-sucking friends. Number 3. Zombeavers. 2014. In this comedy horror, 2 reckless truck drivers transporting toxic chemical products hit a deer on the road, and one barrel falls off into the river and is carried to a beaver's dam. The college mates Mary, Zoe and Jen travel to a cabin nearby the dam that belongs to Mary's Aunt Mern Gregor's son. They swim in the lake and unsuccessfully seek a cute beaver at the dam. However, they have a run-in with a bear, and the hunter Smith saves them quickly. During the night, their boyfriends Sam, Tommy and Buck arrive at the cabin, and Mary and Zoe get it on with their men while Jen has an argument with her unfaithful boyfriend. When Jen goes to the bathroom, she is attacked by a beaver, but Tommy kills the animal that appears to have rabies. The next morning, the group goes swimming in the lake where they are attacked by the rest of the zombie beavers. Will they succeed to escape the vicious creatures? Not going to be as easy as you would think. Number 2. Bloodfest. 2018. The teenager Dax has a deep trauma from his childhood since his mother was murdered by a maniac on Halloween night, and his father, the psychiatrist Dr. Conway, killed the man in their house luckily before anyone else could die. Dax is a lover of horror films and has bought a ticket for the Bloodfest festival with his best friends Sam and Krill that also love the horror genre. However, his father finds and destroys the ticket as he despises Halloween now, so Dax calls his friend, the wannabe actress Ashley, that helps him to cross the gate of the festival field without needing a ticket. When the festival begins, Dax, Sam, and Krill learn that people are really killed by the maniacs and the gore is not fake at the said festival they are at. Now they need to find a way out of the festival to survive, or else Dax will end up like his mother sadly. There was a reason Dax's dad didn't want him to go. Number 1. The Sand. 2015. Last but not least on this list is the 2015 comedy horror film The Sand. After an epic beach party in celebration of their recent college graduation, a large group of hungover 20-somethings wake up in a secluded private beach, not remembering how they got there. But under the bright light of an otherwise ordinary spring break morning, the unsuspecting teens realize that, somehow, the sand under their feet is alive, ready to devour those who touch it. Now, as the death toll keeps rising, an unseen carnivorous entity is waiting patiently for their slightest wrong move. Is there an escape from the killer beach? I can't decide if I would rather deal with killer sand or a sharknado. Some of the concepts these production companies come up with crack me up. Well, that is it for this list. Any other great comedy horror films? Thanks for watching.